gets nothing effect. Has that one taken away by Troy Hellman. It seems like this could be.
Hello and welcome to the Overwatch League recap, the talk show focusing on the Overwatch League. I am BlazzinBob, and as always, I'm joined by Mel. What's going on? How you doing in these trying times that we live in?
I'm at home a lot. But before we go any further, the cameras are all messed up.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know.
How about that? How about that? We're all good now, right?
Yeah, looks great.
All right, yeah. So yeah. How are you doing in these trying times?
Oh, just staying at home, hanging out with my confused dogs and my confused husband.
Yeah.
And
I've
and
definitely had a little bit of the quarantine blues. I like to get out of the house. I like to go places. I really don't like to have one day where I don't leave the house at all. So this has been a little bit trying for me. I've been a little depressed, had a little bit of quarantine blues, but
see, I feel like when I work from home, I legit won't leave the house for like 4 days. And then I'll say something to you and be like, Bob, I need to leave the house or do something. And like, I don't know. Let's be real here. Remembering to like put on real clothes when you're just sitting around at your computer all day is a tough thing,
yeah, and I think I shaved for the first time in a week and a half today for the show.
right? I know I
Oh,
showered, I did my hair, man. See, this
yeah.
show is keeping us clean.
Well, I mean, and it's been just kind of a bummer. Like they canceled the stuff last week, so it's been 2 weeks since we've had a show. So it's always hard to get back into it. But there's so much to unpack about what's going on right now with the Overwatch League. We're gonna leave out talk about Corona because it's talked about everywhere. We're gonna talk about how it's affecting the Overwatch League, and we're gonna really dive into that and see what our thoughts are for the future, but it's definitely not good. It's definitely not good. But
Eh,
I mean, there were definitely some.
we got to watch Overwatch.
Yeah, we did get to watch Overwatch, but we watched more like Overwatch contenders, not really Overwatch League, and
Mhm.
that's where I've been kind of bummed. But we're gonna talk about our impressions. We're gonna talk some news. We're gonna talk about the results. We're gonna talk about the hero pools for next week. But the majority, I think, is going to be a lot of talking about just how this is shaking out. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We always start the show off thanking our recap producer, Shazir. Thank you so
Woo
much
woo.
for your patronage. And let's just jump right in. All right, so starting off, week 8 impressions. And holy crap, there's a lot to talk about here.
True.
But go ahead with just like what you want to talk about first.
What I want to talk about first? Oh man. Well, let's just talk about the fact that the cat saved the day and did much better than Sideshow or Mr. X did. And I just think, you know, fine.
Well, okay, so for the people that didn't watch the final watch point, they did hero bands, and Zoe, instead of using the wheel thing, she just basically showed us the new weighted we haven't talked about this on this show, but weighted bands. So basically if a character's played 10 to 25 percent of the time, they get one ticket. If it's 25 to 50, they get two. If it's 50 to 75, they get three. And if they're played 75% or more, they get four. So it's a weighted way, which I actually definitely agree with, um, and like that way more. Um, it does leave open to, the like like metas that are just, kind of flip-flopping, but it still leaves a chance for weird characters to get banned, but you at least get a big chance of getting the big ones banned. So she did the things, and then she shuffled them on camera. Now she's in her house by a little cat, like, climbing gymnasium,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure she was in comfy pants.
110%.
Yeah.
Like that, I was like, "Bob, is she wearing comfy pants?" And he's like, "I think she is." And I
Yep.
was like, "That's awesome." But I feel like I would have changed out of my comfy pants if I was gonna put my pants on camera. But go Zoe, good for you.
Oh, I literally changed my comfy pants just about 15 minutes ago before we started, just in case I have to walk off. You guys see jeans and not the plaid comfies.
Maybe she wasn't wearing pants and she put on the comfy pants because her bottom half was gonna be on camera.
But I mean,
It's
I was seriously wondering how many Overwatch League pros took advantage this week and played in their undies, because that's just a chance you're not going to get later. So you should be taking it. I should have put out a poll.
I feel like I wouldn't want to play in my like, I don't feel like when I play at home, it's not like, "Oh god, I can play in my undies." No. I can play in my PJs.
Well, you're not a man though. It's a little
True.
different. But
Yes.
so she had the cat pick some of the picks. Like, she laid them on the ground after she shuffled
All of
them.
the picks.
She had the cat pick. So the cat banned.
May.
We finally got May banned. We'll talk about the
Woo woo.
rest of the bands later, but that was pretty funny. There were a plethora of funny moments throughout all of this weekend. I mean, let's just say what it was. It was a complete shit show. I mean, a
100%.
complete shit show. But what came out of that was some hilarious moments. I mean, we had Hex and Jaws talking during the like, not knowing their mics are on and just like having little conversations while we're on the wait screen, which, can we just keep that forever? Because that was gold. Then we had
No, it would have been gold if they would have said something like gold worthy, but it was like stupid stuff. It was like, what? Yeah, okay. Like, and I was like, oh, come on, give us something good. You don't
oh
know you're on
man.
mic? Come on.
And then I remember the first watch point I saw on Saturday, where it literally cut to them and they're all on camera and they're just, looking around, kind of messing with their teeth. And then they realize they're like, hey, welcome to Watch Point.
Oh yeah, the transitions were even worse than they usually are,
Oh
which
man.
can be expected. That's fine. So his fire alarm went off.
Yeah, so his fire alarm went off at one point.
This is a very common issue that Bob and I also have at our apartment, so I
Yeah.
understand completely.
I'm
Uh,
assuming her husband was cooking her like a nice lunch and the fire alarm just went off.
Or
Oh.
it could have just been like, you know how like our crazy fire alarms go off, like our apartment wide fire alarms go off sometimes randomly. Like I feel like that's what would happen to me if I was casting Overwatch League, like right in the middle of it from home.
Mm.
100%.
Well, then we had janky transitions. We had poor Uber having to solo cast for a good portion of the first
Only in
game.
your right ear,
Yeah.
right? Or your
Was
left
it
ear?
it
I don't
was it
remember.
was either left ear or right ear, but it was pretty funny.
We were
There
watching it
was
on the TV, so we didn't notice.
there were a ton of problems with the YouTube app for us on the Xbox, where we'd still get audio, but the screen would just freeze and we'd have to go out and go back in and then it'd be back. It was like the transitions weren't cutting over. I don't know if that was on YouTube side or Overwatch League side, but I mean, regardless, like, they did the best they possibly could with
Oh
the
yeah.
situation that they had. They were given, you know, they were up against insurmountable odds and they actually pushed out a product. So you have to give them props, give them, a good clap, because that had to be hard, but it definitely made me really appreciative of the regular broadcast that I would bitch about, you know? It's like it made me really appreciate what they were doing before.
Well, I feel like there wasn't the hype, for me at least, that we're getting with the homestands, and even that we got with the lands in LA, right? Where you could see the players and you see them come together, you see their reactions, you see them, like all of that. We didn't get any of that. Not that I expect to get any of that with the situation that's happening, but it made me appreciate what that brings to it. And I
Definitely.
think that also brings a lot to the players. I think the players feed off of that. Yes, sometimes it makes them nervous and sometimes it makes them, you know, have other feelings. I don't know. But I feel like in general, it feels like a competition. Whereas lots of these players just play at home on ranked, on ladder. And that's kind of what this felt like to them. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I know there was more into it and they were communicating, but we have zero idea what the communication looked like, how much they were, doing, who was involved, like all of that. I don't know.
What coaches were on the phone with them while they were playing? I mean, there's all kinds of room for cheating in this scenario too, which is the ugly side, but it's a very true side. And it felt like watching a contenders match for me. And that's kind of a bummer because what makes Overwatch League for me and why I don't watch contenders is because like it's not the it's not the creme de la creme of competitive, competition. Like basically
There's a lot of weigh-in contenders, though.
some, yeah, not a lot.
Well,
Uh
okay, go ahead.
oh, but like it felt like contenders. And it didn't feel like the Overwatch League and the hype and the lights and coming back to you from Hollywood or from the home stands. It really took a step back there, and I was like, "Oh, man,
So
this
you're
is a
saying the
bummer."
production quality felt like contenders, not the
Yes.
quality of the play.
Yes, the production quality. Although the quality of play was here and there too. I mean,
I think some of that though had to do with the production quality. Also, the fact that they were kind of rushed into these games. I mean, we didn't have a schedule until what, like a week in advance, maybe, that they knew who they were going to play.
yeah, and we were supposed to
And
have 16 games and only ended up with 10.
yeah, so I mean, I think there was a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, a lot of like trying to figure it out. And I also think some of the gameplay looked worse because of the production, right? So like usually I'm sure there's a bunch of people watching monitors knowing like which one to switch to and stuff.
Yeah,
And
there's
I
a
think there
whole
was like
control
one
room.
person who's like trying to figure out who's the best character to have point of view on right now. And it's not always, right? But it also limited, I think, the caster's ability to see all of the angles. I'm sure they didn't have 12 screens set up looking at everybody's gameplay as they were casting. So
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of other things that went into it not looking like the quality of games that maybe we would have expected. But I think for me, I was just glad they were on. I was glad that they did something so I could watch some games. I felt like the hype was going down a little bit. I'm just not sure if this was better or hurt their audience, right? Because if anybody tuned in for the first time to this broadcast, granted, they have like a little leeway because of the situation, but it's nothing compared to, I think, what we're used to. And I
Not
think
even
it's
close.
great that they put something together and they did it quickly and they gave us some games to watch. I just wonder what asterisks will be on this season for whoever does well.
If
You know what I
it's
mean?
hurting the brand. Well, that's something that we really need to talk about, competitive integrity. This is I mean, it's out the door. It's gone. I mean, you could literally this season is almost not worth it. They went from playing LAN to playing online. Now, Widowmaker is going to be so much less useful now because you're on ping. Like playing Widow with 45 ping as opposed to 1 is completely different. I mean,
Yeah,
completely different.
but these players all have experience with that if they
I don't
play
care.
Widow
Yeah, I don't
on
care.
in
That
comp.
yeah, but Widow's less viable in comp because of that. Like she became viable in the Overwatch League because 1 ping. That's when
I
she
don't know.
became. I mean, it's a complete fact. I mean,
I
she wasn't viable before that. She like that's why what's his name, the famous Widow one trick never got into the league. Well, it's one of the reasons, but there's like it completely changes the way the games play. That's why you saw a lot of Hanzo and stuff too, because you can get away with that on a non-land setting, whereas Widow's definitely better in the land setting, and that's what we're gonna run into now. I mean, basically, like I always said it before, if it's not done in the Overwatch League, I don't care. Like it's you know, you're not showing me anything, and part of that is the LAN aspect of the game, like just no ping. I mean, it's a huge thing. So what we're dealing with now is all kinds of games getting played, all kinds of weirdness, playing in different areas. I mean, you can throw competitive integrity out the window. So, what do they do to fix this? Now, Mr. X heard him a couple weeks ago on Plat Chat, and he had an idea that I think is the only one that they can do to actually fix this problem. And he suggested that you use the regular season record as seeding for a March Madness type of bracket tournament where you have the East and the West in 10-man brackets. The number 10 team plays the number 1 team. The first week, the number 2 team plays the number 9 team. The number 8 team plays the number 3 team. And you get it's just single elimination. Then everybody plays. Then the next week, whoever wins goes on to the brackets. That's the only way to make this fair, in my opinion. I think that's the only idea that I've heard that makes sense because right now, I mean, some of the teams like Dallas still hasn't even played since week 1. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's some teams just had their debut this week. Like you should definitely give them something to work for in the regular season, but I believe competitive integrity is completely shot and there's no way to fix it at this point. So,
Yeah, I mean, unless you delay the season completely, which I think kind of takes away the benefit of this being an esport, right? I know that we have been doing that at homestands, but it is one of the benefits and it could grow the viewership because people are stuck at home and they can't go watch a football game. They can't go watch a basketball game, right? But if they're stuck at home and they're watching these matches, is that bringing them in or is that turning them away and they're going to go watch something else, right? But I think the only worry I have about doing a tournament, and I do think it's the best way because of the situation that we're in, is that I don't want that to get a lot of hype and then become the go
the
to,
the thing.
right? That's my only concern. But I think with the situation that we've been given this season, I agree that I think it's the only legitimate way to seed teams and to give everybody a chance because they're going to be playing the same teams. They're not going to play every team. They're going to, kind of regionalize more than they were before, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
there's so much like going into there's so much going into the problems and it's a bummer that this has to happen, in their, quote unquote make or break season. It's I mean it started out so good and it was so good and I'm not even sure like I think maybe like lots of the league already had corona and has passed it. Like when Houston was all sick and they got Atlanta all sick, like It could have been Corona. They already passed it up, like they were never tested. So,
There was one Overwatch League player that was confirmed to have it. I think is Smek, I
huh,
think. He's the first Overwatch League player to be confirmed to have coronavirus, COVID-19.
hmm, well,
But
if you're under 65, it's not really that big of a deal, but it's a big deal if you give it to somebody who's over 65. That's the whole problem we're in right now. But we said we weren't going to talk about that. So, anything else that you're looking at just on the surface, like playing online opens up all kinds of like ways to cheat to um
I wonder because there are ways to somewhat ensure more integrity, but my fear with those ways would be like having them on video or having their screen shared or different things like that, which all I think would increase their ping, right? Making that worse. And I guess I just wonder like what is the difference between these players' home lives on what their internet connection is, like where they're at and how many people are in the using the same internet connection and what the, you know, like I know Colorado's internet was like really slow for a couple days, whereas like people in Kansas were fine. You know what I mean? So I'm just wondering like what those differences are going to make and what types of excuses we may get.
yeah, you're going to get all kinds of excuses from players saying, "Oh, well, I was at this ping, there's no way to check that." You just don't know, but are you tapping on something over there? Cuz I'm getting some weird feedback like you're tapping on the desk or something or jiggling your leg. No?
It's probably the AC.
No, it sounds like the mic jiggling, but
Oh,
it's
thanks.
it started again. Yeah, we'll have to hopefully I can edit that out. But yeah, there's a ton that it just isn't Overwatch League at the moment. And so that's why I think that the tournament would be the
But
best
aren't you happy to get
solution.
to watch games?
Oh yeah, I was extremely happy. And I mean, I honestly it was hilarious because we were gonna take the dogs out, and you were like, "Well, let's just take them out at the halftime show," and I was like, "No, I'm not missing that." It's like it became the more entertaining thing because of just like how bad things were going and how they were gonna like triumph over it, and like and I mean, I think for the most part, they really did. I mean, it was funny seeing everybody without makeup on, though. That was new.
Oh yeah,
Although I'm
that
pretty
was
sure
funny.
Hex had makeup on. I think his time with Mama Rosa and the makeup girls taught him how to do his own makeup because
I don't know,
Hex
maybe he's
still
just
looked good.
naturally gifted on the camera.
But it was definitely funny to see that, and it looked like, the little background they got, I wonder if that's like one of those, stickers that you put on the wall, like the big head things for sports stars and stuff that you could buy.
I don't know. You
Uh,
said that, but I think it's like a stand-up backdrop.
Could
Bob
be.
says no. He said
It
it'd be too
just
expensive, but I'm pretty sure they're all in LA.
but it's just like, if it was a backdrop, you would've seen it waving, like, you would've seen it moving.
Okay, if it was a sticker, you would have seen somebody that messed it up.
That stuck it wrong.
Yeah, like,
Although from
come
what
on.
I hear, the big head things stick on pretty easy, you just pull it back out and stick it
I
back
mean, we're
on if you screw
talking
it up.
Costa and Uber and
Oh, man, Uber, I felt the worst for because he's like, "If you stop blowing me up on Twitter." He was taking it so personally, but he was doing a great job, and
he
Mr.
did.
X was like, "Yeah, I did absolutely nothing to come back. I mean, all I do is
Every
just turn
time,
it off and turn it back on, and it's."
and I'm here.
I was like, I think Mr. X had some Xanax this morning. But
Mr. X is always on Xanax, it seems like, but I don't actually think he is. I think that's just him. He's chill.
Yeah,
But
he's like, "Well, Uber, you always try and solo cast anyway, I just interrupt you."
yeah, it was good for sure. I'm glad that there was games on. I agree that I think a tournament would help kind of make this season not a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, because I feel like if they do it the way based on the way that it's supposed to be done, whoever wins this season is gonna have an asterisk by their win, and it's not gonna be a legitimate win to their peers, you know?
Yes,
But
sorry.
that's just my impression. I don't know. So, we'll see.
Yeah, anything else you wanted to hit on? I know there's even more that I'm not thinking of right now.
I know, that's why I told you to write it down, and you said, "No, it's in my head." And I
It's
said,
in
"Okay."
my head.
Yeah, it's not.
Uh, yeah, I can't think of anything. I'm sure it could pop up later, but let's go ahead and move on to some news. So YouTube is limiting video quality across the board in a lot of areas. They're sticking to you at 480p, but you can go to the settings just right there on the browser and click on quality and go and set it to 1080p. I had to do that Saturday and Sunday. It was just on. I was thinking that the quality was really bad, but the auto feature was sticking me on 480 and sometimes 720, but it's just something
Well,
YouTube's
it
doing
says
across the
that the
board.
auto feature will, for everybody, put them on 480 auto, but if HD is available, you can switch to it.
Well, they lied because it definitely was 480 and 720 at different times
Well,
this weekend.
I'm just telling you what they said.
So it's just something to watch for. I watch that constantly because it likes to set me to 720 even though I have gig up, gig down. So like, dude, I have 1,000. Like, what are you doing? Makes
Well,
me
I will
very angry.
say, yeah, but I will say with everybody at home, internet has just been nutty. And I did like a video talk for my real job.
Yeah,
And
she had 900 some people in chat. Chat.
it was 800, but
I
you can exaggerate,
I
that's fine.
I rounded up. She had one of the chats where it's going so fast you can't read it and respond to it.
It was. I was like, "Am I in Twitch chat? What is happening right now?" It was like a professional conference, okay? So, the fact that all these people kept typing to me, I was like, "Don't do that. Don't do that." Although when I was presenting, they hid the chat for me. I couldn't see it. Ah, suckers. Um, but what I was saying is like we had videos and different things to show in our presentation, and typically on Zoom is what we were using. They work perfectly fine. And I guess Zoom came out and said, "Yeah, nope, we cannot do anything with high quality videos right now. It is not going to work. It's gone." So we're trying to debate on how our next presentation will go.
Yeah, well, and that's what the Overwatch League is trying to deal with too. I assume like hopefully the people that are doing the observing, hopefully they have good fiber connections. If not, hopefully the Overwatch League is like getting them that quickly because that's really you need the upload. And lots of internet connections will give you like 100 meg download, 10 meg upload. That's no bueno. Like you're going to fail streaming if you have 10 up. And
Okay,
so hopefully they're looking into that and making sure they have the proper connections.
so what is it though if they're spectating and they have a good internet connection, but say one of the players doesn't?
Then the player just won't move or will look to be lagging out. You'll see him jumping around, but you won't see the rest of the people jumping around.
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm saying like if they're spectating Super and Super's connection is poor, is it going to hurt the
Yes.
spectating?
Yes, if they're spectating that specific person.
Okay.
And
I thought so. I was just making sure.
definitely Saturday at the start of it, I was seeing like it was just it was pausing every 5 seconds for 1 second, and it was really off-putting, but, I got through it, but that's what you're gonna run into if whoever's spectating doesn't have a proper internet connection, and so hopefully they're looking into that. It looks like they switched the spectator on Saturday because it just stopped happening. Either that or whoever the spectator was got their significant other off of Netflix or something, you know? It's like it was just really, really like weird. But it's gonna be a problem. We're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have problems across all games. It's just gonna be a it's just gonna be a problem. The internet usage spiked up unbelievably in the last couple weeks.
Yeah. But on a better note, we got a new sponsor for the Overwatch League. Whoop, whoop.
And who is
Uh,
that?
HyperX is the official memory partner. I thought that was really funny. I was like, memory partner? What does that mean? It's because they produce RAM products essential for gaming, video editing, and rendering.
Yeah, it's the RAM that I have in my computer right now.
Random access memory, in case you guys didn't know. So memory partner. Ah,
RAM.
good one, guys. Good one. But yeah, we don't know any of the details. But now we have a
Uh,
memory partner, we have a crunch time partner. It's fine.
yeah, and they're still doing the crunch. I thought it was I don't know. I thought that we already talked about that. Let's move on into some games. Why don't you tell us the scores of this week?
No, can I talk about the 4 Chinese games?
You can. The parody puzzle
No,
has ensued. All right, all
yeah.
right, you go.
What the heck is happening in China, first of all, people? Because day 1, we see Shanghai beat Guangzhou Charge 3-0. Shanghai looked like, whoop, on top of it, right? Then we see the Spark beat Chengdu Hunters 3-2, which is really sad because I like the Chengdu Hunters. And yeah, it's fine. But that was a closer game, right? But Spark came out on top. Then we go to day 2, and Chengdu Hunters, who lost to the Spark, beat Shanghai Dragons, who lost to the Charge. Okay. And then the next game, the Charge, who lost to the Dragons, beat the Spark, who won against the Chengdu Hunters. It was like this circle, guys. Perfect little circle of we don't know who is better than who.
It's a circle of life.
No. Yeah. There's no life there. It was just super weird. But
Well, and
overall, they were really good games. And we definitely got the Chinese meta. Like, what? They came out with some crazy stuff that I wasn't expecting that we didn't see from day 1 on the NA teams, but we did see them change on day 2,
yeah,
even though they weren't playing them.
there was a lot of comp copying, which is just like, come on, guys, do your own thing. But they'd end up getting beat, and then they would just copy. They would mirror the other comp.
I
That
mean, I feel
part,
like that's a double-edged sword though, Bob. Like, I feel like you could say, okay, they copied like what a bunch of wimps, right? Come on, come up with your own thing. But you could also say, like Boston, be like, all right, guys, get off Sigma. You tried your thing, it's not working. Just copy what they're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're
yeah,
just beating your head against the wall playing this comp that you think is better, that is obviously not.
yeah. Well, just switch to something that counters. Like, don't just switch to the mirror. I think it's a chicken shit thing. But the only pass that I'm going to give them is that they're out of sorts. They're all at different locations. They're not having normal team meetings. They are definitely struggling with this whole quarantine thing. So I will give them a pass, but it was still annoying in any
Yeah.
case. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I guess so.
yeah,
But I feel like
I
the Chinese games, they pretty much like they had their own thing, but they all four had the same own thing.
Yeah, I loved the ball Zarya. I was like, I like that.
Listen,
I love to see all the Doomfist play this week. We saw some pop offs, some big
mhm.
pop offs, and it made me actually want to go back and play some more Doom. I haven't played Doom in a long time, but
See, it actually made me not wanna go back and play Overwatch ever again until they banned Doom, because
well,
as a healer, that's
yeah.
not fun.
Well, I'm not. I'm like currently on strike this week for Overwatch because they banned all Pharah counters, and I thought Pharah should have been deleted from the game long ago. So I was like, well, I'm definitely not playing.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
whatever.
I hate that character. And then make it like harder to counter. Yeah, forget it, dude. It's like I'll just wait a week and maybe I'll play next week. I've had a couple different weeks of that. Like hero bans are cool in the regular game, but at the same time, they definitely influence whether I'm gonna play or I'm not. And there's a
Which is
lot of
fine.
games vying for my time, so I don't know that I don't know that I like them. Like
I
especially
think
like they
it
banned like 6 players
Yeah, that's
this
I
last
think might be
time.
a little excessive, but I do think that it's helpful in the fact that it for the people that play a lot, that can play different characters, I think it's very helpful to keep it fresh and fun for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely I like it. I've just found that it really influences whether I play or not. Like the week Ryan was banned, I was like, yeah, nah,
Mhm.
I'll just wait.
Well, I mean, they haven't banned Mercy yet, but she still never gets played, so you'd just be sad with me. She's probably being played this week, but just as a pharmacy combo.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, do you really want to play
And
that?
maybe
Like,
not, because Farrah doesn't really have as much pressure anymore, so it's not even that big of a deal.
yeah, I'm not sure what's been going down this week. I know Duff Fran really liked it. Like he had a blast this week. He tweeted out about it. So, I mean, it's not, you know, some people take breaks during these times, some don't, some really enjoy it. So, it's been pretty cool. I definitely love it in the Overwatch League though.
You're
So,
still on week 8 impressions, by the way.
oh, well, here we'll go past news and then we'll go to week 8. There we go. Slide changed. So what I want to talk about is wait for it, Mel. You and I have been waiting for a long time for this right now, a long time. But San Francisco's starting to suck.
They're self-destructing from the inside. You guys have been calling it for 2 years, and it's finally happening. I told you! I told you it would happen!
Oh, yep. See, they're not in the same room for Krusty to, stroke and say, "Hey, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. DPS, it'll be okay." They're at their houses raging. Like, so I don't know. They got beat by the Gladiators and they got beat by the LA Valiant.
Yeah, they're losing California right now, by the way. Just it's gone. But one thing I will say is I think San Francisco specifically, and I don't often talk good about them, but I think that they're trying a lot right now. They're mixing up things, they're going crazy, they're putting other people in, which I know is fine, but they also don't have the structure that they typically have. And I
Yeah,
think that
well,
this team succeeds because of the structure and the coaching. And yes, they have individual talent, but so does every team, guys. Like, let's be real. Every team has the individual talent, maybe not the extreme level of San Francisco, but that talent's only going to get you so far.
yep. And they're doing things that initially seemed like big brain things, like putting Architect on Anna or putting Sinatra on Zarya. But then like they had Sinatra on Zarya, and then Sinatra all of a sudden had to play Ryan. And that was ugly.
Yeah.
And So you're
It's
putting
like it's like the situation Houston got into, right? When they were like, "Okay, well, we'll put so and so in for uh Sombra, but oh god, now we have to switch this player and this player and this player." Like we had to switch like 3 people to get a comp again. Like it just it doesn't work like that. And I feel like the structure is hurting them. I also feel like they and even Super said it, I think, in an interview that the biggest fear he has about playing at home is that people will become complacent because they're used to playing ranked at home. And it's just kind of like that feeling, like they're in comms and they play ranked. Like it feels more like a scrim to them
yeah,
and a ranked game to them than it does
the being
a,
on the stage with the lights
yeah,
and the cameras and
they like eat that up. That is their like fire, I think.
I mean, that's what many professional sports players do too. I mean,
Yeah.
the crowd fuels them, and
Yeah.
this
It
is
was a bad
definitely
thing.
this is definitely weird. But I thought it was hilarious. San Francisco lost both of their games with them. They've been talking smack and like trying to say, "How can you not have us as the number one team? Because you haven't played, and when you did play, like." You're really if Stryker hadn't saved your butt at the very end, you would have went to a map 5 with Dallas. So no, we didn't think you were the best team.
Well, now that San Francisco lost to Gladiators and Valiant, does it make you think less of your Dallas team who lost to San Francisco?
Yeah, I don't know what to think of Dallas. Like I mean
I'm just kidding.
they just haven't played, so it's hard to say. I'll tell you who I am enjoying is the Atlanta Rain. And okay, everybody talking about Baby Bay, you could just stop now. He's not a backup. He's a S tier DPS in the Overwatch League. Stop with your crap about, oh, he just came here to sub for this until they got this. No, he is a bona fide legit DPS now, so give it up.
Yeah, Edison though.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
Edison's great, dude. But you saw that they
It's
played
Tracer.
Edison and Baby Bay, and you saw Baby Bay have flooded deadlifts in those matches where he's just killing everything. So
Yeah.
all the talk
I'm not
about Baby
I am
Bay
not
not being a
talking
top tier,
bad.
I want it to stop.
I am not talking bad about Baby Bay. And I'm just saying it's been a long time since we've seen a lot of Tracer and Edison killed it. Like it was impressive. It was some good Tracer and it was some craziness, and then Baby Bay did his job, and he was cleaning up the kills that, like, I think everything or Edison was cleaning up the kills that Baby Bay did the damage on, whatever. Like, either way, they were working together very well. I do think it's weird that they swapped out Edison, and I know that they did fine and that it still worked, but I just think
Yeah,
it's
because
weird.
they played Edison for the first 2 maps, and then they swapped him out for
Erster,
another.
I think?
No, it was a different new, Tracer player. I didn't know
Oh,
the
Sharp.
name.
Sharp.
Sharp, yeah. So
Yeah.
he was kinda new to me, and I feel like they were up 2-0. They wanted to get their guy playtime. I don't think there's any problem with that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that that's
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
you're playing the Mayhem, so, like, whatever. But I just I think it's I think it's interesting. I also think it's interesting that we haven't seen Erster.
Yeah.
Well, we did see Erster before though, right?
We saw him a couple of weeks ago, or yeah, a couple weeks ago. We definitely saw him. We saw him and Baby Bay in, and everybody threw their hands up. It was like, "Why is Baby Bay playing?"
But
Well,
I think
last
Erster was
weekend's why.
playing I think
He
maybe
was
Erster's
playing
turned
May.
into a May one trick,
He was
maybe that's the bummer. Sorry, Erster. I know you were a Tracer player, but
Erster can play so many things,
I
but
know I'm
I mean,
just
it
messing.
could be like we don't have a lot of transparency at the moment, so a lot of the plays could be like somebody could be sick, somebody could be homesick, like somebody
Yeah.
might not have proper internet and can't play. Like I mean, the teams are struggling to keep up with everything else. Like unfortunately, the last thing they're really worried about is transparency to to their fans. And you could argue that, maybe they should, but either way, like these guys were already stressed with hero bans and everything else. The coaches have to be losing their effing minds right now.
Okay, the fact that we don't even have the schedule for next week yet is a little absurd.
Or
I'm just
any
gonna throw
week
that out
after,
there.
yeah, if you click to the next week, it just goes to like week 15 All-Stars.
And it's very possible that the teams know,
Well,
but
and what's weird is we have no reasoning for why 6 teams disappeared from the schedule the night before. Okay, it was
I know
supposed to
I
be
can't
16
confirm that. I
games.
don't know that for sure.
Well, and the problem is that did teams make up excuses so they didn't have to play this week's hero pools? I don't know. You guys gotta be the judge of that, and unfortunately, we're never gonna know the actual truth. So there's so many problems going on, and, like, you can't really cancel matches if they're supposed to play on a specific hero pool because that affects competitive integrity also. So there's so much going on, but Mel has stepped away, so what else did I wanna talk about while she's gone here? It was great to see Chang play for the first time. I definitely missed Chang do, although I feel like they tried to push Farah a little too hard, especially on Dorado. Like it took so long to set up that they just weren't able to actually capitalize on it. And with the team playing double shield, I don't know why they would think that Farah was going to work in any capacity, but they definitely tried it. What else? Soul looks to be pretty freaking scary. Prophet. Prophet is definitely still doing uh prophet things. Gesture looked great. Like Soul might actually finally become a dynasty with the new players that they've been picking up. Marvel's been really good. Oh, what else?
Soul was on fire.
Dude, Soul is looking good, man.
Yeah. So Soul looked really good. We can go over just the scores for the matches.
You go ahead and do that real quick.
So Toronto Defiant beat the Boston Uprising. Shocker. 3-1. Soul Dynasty beat the Valiant 3-0. Soul Dynasty also beat the Gladiators 3-0. So I think you can say Soul is better than Shock because they played the same teams and Soul won both of them and Shock lost both of them. So Gladiators beat the Shock 3-1 and lost to Soul. And then Valiant beat Shock 3-1. And Atlanta Rain beat the Mayhem 3-0. So I think overall it was a crazy weekend. It was fine though. It was fun. It was exciting to see some of the teams, especially the ones that we hadn't seen play before. Seoul really stepped up. I think the players that they got, like Bob was saying, from the Spitfire and the players that they kept. Oh, that's really loud, isn't it? You're just giving me this look like, but I think the players they got and the players that they kept, I think are synergizing really well. The cool thing about this is that it's exciting to see how these teams do in different hero pools. Because if it was just based on this hero pool, we could say Soul, hands down, right? But what about the next hero pool?
Well,
Well,
and
not next,
yeah, and like
but what
while you
about
were
when
gone,
Double Tank gets, taken out, or somebody that they're really good at gets taken out? So
you meant to say double shield, but yeah, that's what I was talking about while you were gone. Is that the teams that dropped out, that those 6 matches that weren't played that were supposed to be played, like that's not cool because now they're just not gonna have to play on that hero pool, and I think that really messes up hero pools and what they're trying to accomplish.
right. But I mean, the circumstances are as they are, right? We're having to play games and do whatever. So I'm glad that we got to see some competitive OWL games. I'm glad that we got to kind of see the teams play in their comfort zone of home, which maybe hurt a couple of them. Um, but I'd like to, even in this time, maybe see a little bit more content from the teams on the players individually because we're not getting to see them week to week, right? We're hearing about them, but right now they're like an icon on the screen. They're not people anymore.
And that
So I think that the teams can do a lot for their brand by putting out things that you can still social distance yourself and put out web content. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
I would make a case that Twitter was based on social distancing. It's what it is. Like, there's a
True.
whole lot of people that talk all kinds of shit on Twitter, but if you run into them, face to face, they're gonna be super nice.
Right.
But
So yeah,
but yeah, like there's gonna be a lot of stuff up in the air. I'm hoping that we get more information quicker, especially matches, because like we can't even talk about the matches next week. I mean, on this show, I'd love to like speculate what's gonna happen with so and so team against so and so with this hero pool, but we don't have that. It's a real bummer. And then talk about things we don't have. We don't have the replay viewer. That sucks. Like, I mean, our good buddy from
I thought we
High
did
Noon
have it.
Podcast, Deathblow, was making really cool videos, and now he can't.
Oh, we don't have it this week,
Yeah,
is what you're saying. I
yeah.
get it. I was like,
And
wait, I
like,
swear we had that.
when are we gonna have it? Again, stats are definitely gonna be much slower to show up. There's so many things we are missing out on. So if the teams were smart, they'd be hitting Twitter up hard. They'd be, hitting their YouTube stuff up hard, showing highlights. You know, I mean, if you're stuck at home, you're not gonna be able to do the normal things you could do. Like maybe people that don't normally make videos could, start.
Right. I guess let's talk a little bit about before we move on, just the different heroes that we saw. Because we saw a lot of Zen Brig for the supports, which I think is interesting because they are much less healing
Oh
than you're
yeah,
gonna get
much
out of a
less.
Moira or an Ana, and we did see some Ana. I think we saw one team play Moira for a little bit, but it was a lot of Zen Brig, and then we saw a lot of double shield with Orisa Sigma, and this is something Boston's been trying to pull off, guys, for a really long time and really failed at it, and some people did well at it this week. But I also think you have to take into account the different hero pools too, right?
Yeah,
We saw some
without
Wrecking
Lucio,
Ball,
there's a lot of things that can't be played.
right? But we even saw Reinzaria quite a bit,
Yeah, and we
which I thought
saw.
was interesting. We saw Mei, we saw Tracer, we saw Hanzo, we saw Genji. Like,
Yeah, I
what?
think the Genji was a little forced. We had
Yeah, Sinatra.
Sinatra on
Sinatra.
Genji, and it's like, come on, bro.
I I mean, I think it was fine. They had Stryker on Tracer and him on Genji, but then they were playing like Ryan Zarya with it, weren't they?
I forget exactly who they were playing with. I think no,
It wasn't dive tank, is the thing.
I think it
Like I
was Orisa
remember
Sigma.
it might have been Orisa Sigma, but it wasn't like what you expected to see, like Winston Diva. Or wait, Winston was banned, right? Wrecking Ball
Yes.
Diva, right? Something. Like, come on. But I don't know. I'm not a pro. But I think that was interesting. I think that I don't know. Are there any other heroes that were picked that you thought were
No,
of note?
not really. I mean, Doom really like shined this week. Like that was big. But
But Doom wasn't picked a ton. I
he's
mean,
he's picked quite a bit.
yeah,
Forget the
I don't know.
percentage, but he was picked quite a bit. May was still played. Can we talk about Boston? Boston
Why.
sucks.
I mean, still, yeah. Like,
Yeah. Boston. Oh. Feels so good after the Patriots have beaten us down for so long. My Chiefs have lost to the Patriots in so many playoffs I can't even count.
By the way, Doom was only picked 14% of the time.
Oh, okay. Well, that was less than I was actually thinking.
Yeah, he was like the lowest picked DPS.
Huh.
McCree was at like 16, Hanzo was at 30, May was at 37, and Tracer was at like 50%.
Maybe it's just Doom performed so much better. It was so much more hype during it.
Yeah, I mean, Doom had some standout moments, where it was like, oh, there's Doom.
It's like,
Whereas I think
oh,
Hanzo and Tracer and May were a little bit more subtle.
unless it was Baby Bay, and then it was Hanzo just deadlifting.
Oh my God.
I'm just speaking the truth.
Okay. But yeah, a lot of Orisa. There was actually more diva play than I think I realized. There was like 44% diva play.
Yeah, I didn't. I just kept. I guess it was because we saw so many of the Chinese teams play, and like they just really wanted to play Orisa Sigma, and I'm not even sure the Sigma was really all that good. I really don't think it was.
I don't know. I don't know that we got a full like production of what he was doing either, so I'm not sure we can judge that.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
definitely hard to judge. Like everything we used to use, like all the Overwatch League we've watched the last 3 years of covering it kind of went out the window a little bit this week, and we're gonna have to keep learning as the weeks go on, and we're playing outside of LAN because it's really different. So, you
Yeah.
know, people that are super into contenders, this is just gonna be, a day at the park for them. But for us, it's a little weird to try and judge based on what we saw this last weekend.
Yeah, there is some talk about the Titans and the Spitfire relocating to Korea too. And I think that could give us more matches against the Korean and Chinese teams. And there's, I think, a public safety announcement to return home if you're not at home. So they're trying to take all of that into account. But I do think it would help with some of the matches, or else I think we're going to see these Chinese teams play over and over again.
Yeah, which will be I mean, they have a lot of matches to make up, so it'd be good to get those going now,
But
but
not against each other, not all of them against each other. Like they're just going to know exactly how to play each other, you know?
yeah. But, I mean, that's the way to do it right now. Any match that they did have, like, you might as well if those matches were later on in the year, you might as well just move those matches to now and get them out of the way.
Yeah.
Hopefully, homestands will come back. The whole reason we're doing this, quarantine at home thing is so we can kill the virus quickly instead of just everybody getting it and getting through it. Like, hopefully, this works and we can go back after April to homestands. I really hope so because if we're done with with homestands for the year, it's gonna kill the Overwatch League.
I don't think it'll kill the Overwatch League. I think it will hurt it, but I think it's going to hurt every single business. And it's not going to hurt traditional sports as much because they already have a following that's been there for a long time. Like one season off isn't going to kill them, but it's going to hurt companies and it's going to hurt investments and it's going to hurt people that invested in these teams if they have enough money to continue to pay their staff because they're not making the money anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, I think those are the things you have to think about. I think thinking that we're going to resume in May at the Paris Eternal homestand and the Seoul Dynasty homestand is a little lofty, but I can be optimistic. That's cool.
I mean, that's what you're hoping for. And and
Yeah.
and if we're still quarantined at the end of April, then we shouldn't have ever been quarantined at all. Like that it was a complete failure. So
I
hope to
mean, we will
God.
s they just came out, at least in the US, and said we will be quarantined until the end of April.
Yes, and if we're still
Oh, you're
quarantined
saying
after
after that.
April, then it was a failure and we should not have done it at all, and we've crippled the world economy for no reason because we didn't kill it.
Bob is completely unqualified to give that assessment, just so you all know, but that is his opinion,
Bob's
and
also
take
a
what
little
you will
pissed
with it.
about this. He's also very pissed, actually. But
Uh,
besides the point, so anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, Boston, we did have a little bit of like rumorish news about Boston.
yeah, I just didn't wanna go into it, but
Yeah, let's just say,
Boston's making a name for themselves with the
yeah,
type of
yeah,
players they're
they are
putting.
definitely, and I hope it's not true because I thought Moffin was a pretty energetic character and seemed to be a really nice guy. I really hope it's not true because this really sucks. And if Boston has the two players that have, you know, been guilty of this, then wow, Boston, you gotta start investigating a little better. But yes, Moffat is definitely benched for he's he's not guilty until proven guilty, but he is benched currently for possible Dreamcasper offenses. You're muted.
I said, "He who shall not be named."
Yeah. Well, let's hope let's hope that Moffat's innocent and that it's just that
First
it's
of all, it's not Moffat, it's Muffin.
Muffin.
Yeah, well, we can call him Muffin, that's fine.
Muffin. All right. So okay, this is a little somber, but hopefully it's not true. I'm just hoping for the league's sake and just for the sake of anybody that would have been involved. So
Yeah, I'm not hoping for the league's sake, I'm hoping for the people involved, but at the same time, you know, Boston is on top of it. They have experience with this type of situation exactly, so I think that they reacted very quickly,
they were
but
like, up, pull him.
yeah,
Oh man.
that explained a little bit as to why we did not see Muffin this weekend. So, on a better note, let's get into hero bands for week 6.
Well, hold on though. There's one last thing that I wanted to ask you. If
What?
you were a coach, what would your strategy be moving forward?
It's a very broad question. What do you mean? Like with team communication or with
Yes, it's broad for a reason. What do you think's most what do you think's most important?
I think you have to continue to work on your team building. I think that having players scrim at home just on mic without any face to face, even if it's video contact, is a mistake. I think you will I think you have a lot of players that are going to start to downward spiral. So I think you need some team building and I think you need a lot of different things to keep your players hyped and in the game rather than just complacently playing ranked. And I I think you need to set a structure. They need to do specific things at specific times. You can't let them kind of do their own thing. I don't think that that's going to be healthy for them or for your team. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think there could be a lot of players falling into the same, quarant- quarantine blues that I'm currently in, where they're starting to, like my sleep schedule is out of this world right now. Like I'm going to bed at 6 a.m. and waking up at like 3 p.m. I mean, and it feels weird. Like it feels like I wake up and I feel like sad that I'm up at the wrong times, and I'm sure that's happening to a lot of players. Players probably missing meetings and stuff too. So yeah, maybe you
Especially after going like stage 1 of a lot of them living in team houses and having a lot of, social contact to kind of being on their own. I guess it's also gonna depend on what their own looks like. Like, do some of them live with their families, or do they all live on their own, or do they have roommates, or, what does that look like, and how healthy is that situation? I think those are a lot of the questions that need to be answered, and I think that determines what your focus is for your team. but I
Yeah.
don't think grinding. You have more time now than you did before because you're not traveling and you're not, setting up at arenas and you're not doing any of that. So you have more time. And I think you need to take that time to work on team building.
So like maybe play Overwatch themed Quiplash with each other
Right.
over Discord, or something like that. Something fun and funny and cheeky that's
With your
not
cameras on.
yeah, that's not just the game,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be good. I I I kind of think the same thing. I think you use this time to really find out who your playmakers are, who your guys like. Don't structure it as much as you normally would. Like, give players the opportunity uh to when you're in drama class and you are
Improv.
acting, improv. Give them the chance to improv and see what they can come up with. I think that's the best you
I
could do
think
because
you
right
need
now structure
structured
is going to be.
improv though. I
You
think you
think?
need like where it's like you have 2 hours of your own time, do what you think you need to do, but during this time, this is what you need to be doing, right? Because you have to remember these players are young too, and they're not used to having to manage their time on their own, right? You can't go from being very structured 8-hour a day practices to you're at home, do what we were doing, make it work, right? Like you can't do that to them. Like because you will see some people step up and maybe those are your shining stars, but you'll see more people fail. And those people that fail, not all of them would have failed if you would have given them the structure that they needed to succeed. So teaching them those skills, don't let them, it's not like a trial and error thing, right? Like, here, try this. Okay, you failed. Darn, we'll try something else next time, right? Like, you can't do that. You have to prepare them to succeed and then start to pull back the reins.
Yeah, I feel so hard for the coaches because it's gonna be so rough for them to try and keep their perspective houses in order. And you know, props to you guys and thanks for keeping and trying.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
I
well,
don't think that it's going to make their jobs any easier. That's for sure.
no, their jobs just went from really hard to impossible.
Right.
All right, so hero bands next week. Change the slide, Mel. Or I'm
Woohoo.
trying to change. There it goes. Finally. All right. So the cat, was the hero. I need a hero. Yep. May got banned. McCree got banned. Wrecking Ball got banned. And Brigitte got banned. Now I'm happy about two of them. Can you guess which two I'm happy about?
Wrecking Ball and McCree, 110%.
Yep, you were exactly wrong. May and Brigitte. I thought this shakes it up the most. McCree getting taken out just means my boy Legs has a chance to play, and hopefully Dallas plays and AKM gets to play Soldier. That's all I want this week, Dallas. Anybody from the teams listening, please just give my boy one set. Come on, dude.
I'm pretty sure Legs got
AKM.
banned like 7 times, so I don't think he's available for the hero pools ever again.
Ugh. He did. He got banned like 4 times. They pulled him out. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I would pay
Finally, May.
money
And
to
thank you,
see.
Brigitte.
Yes, yes. And Wrecking Ball is kind of eh. I
No,
mean,
I'm mad about Wrecking Ball. Like, what? Come on. Don't do that to Amon.
yeah.
That's not fair. That's
But I
just
mean,
rude.
I mean, it's something that I'm like, I don't think Wrecking Ball was, I don't think he's bad for the game like I think May is, and so
I know.
therefore,
I'm
like,
mad that he was banned.
I just, he's just a non-factor to me. Like, I don't think it, but you ban Ryan, that changes a lot. You ban Monkey, that changes a lot. You
I mean,
ban,
even with
like,
weighted
basically,
hero pools, he only had 14%. He was the lowest percentage used tank.
yeah, basically, if you ban a main tank, it does a lot. If you ban A off tank, eh, not
I
so
think
much.
Wrecking Ball is technically a main tank.
I don't think so.
I mean, I think we're in this gray area now. But
Yeah, it's
Brigitte and
definitely gray.
May, I mean, can we just ban them forever? Both of them? We could just like get them out and be like, see you later, guys. McCree, I'm not upset about. I mean, I like watching McCree. I think McCree is fine. And I have no problem with McCree, but I think there's so many DPS players that can do similar things to McCree that it's not the end of the world, right? Like not banning May, there's nobody else that builds a wall of ice. There's nobody else that freezes you. Like,
Yep.
it's not like she can just be substituted in with somebody else. Like,
Well,
no.
and Loki and chat definitely put me in place. I definitely was just talking without fully thinking through. You ban any main tank or diva, and you change it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you ban any tank really, like, to be honest, except Wrecking Ball. But then we saw this week, like, Wrecking Ball Zarya. Like, who in God's name ever thought of that comp? Like,
Me,
nobody would have ever said, let's play Wrecking Ball Zarya. That sounds
me,
like a brilliant idea.
I
No.
I asked for it while ago in our games, and everybody tells me that I'm stupid. I'm like, all right,
Well,
whatever. I thought it could work with
I'm
the shield. Like ball gets in, does a lot of work, gets out with shield, and Zarya gets plenty of charge from it. But
maybe.
like people are, you know, people are definitely the higher up you go SR, people are less willing to try something new or try something that they haven't seen work before.
Well, you have to now with hero pools, so good luck. But yeah, I mean, I think overall the cat did a good job. I mean, the cat's only job was to ban May, and she went over and beyond by banning Brigitte too. And I think the other two we can forgive. It's fine. We'll live without them for a week.
Yeah,
We just need to bring the cat back every other week to make
I
sure that
feel
that happens
like
again.
Dive can be played hardcore this next week. I feel like we might just get to see like old school straight up Dive.
I mean, I think with the addition of Doomfist, since Old School Dive was in place, I think you get a little bit of variation, but I think that variation depends on the teams and the comps that the other teams are playing, which I think is good. So I don't think it's going to be just straight up Old School Dive because we
Yeah,
have
true.
so many additional
Yeah.
characters.
I don't think Genji like basically Genji lives and dies by his ultimate, and that's the problem that comes in there, whereas Doom's ultimate is really not worth much at all as far as killing power. It's just like a get out of jail free card, but he has so much mid play that like in the mid fight, he is a god. And I mean, he can just get pickoffs like much easier, whereas Genji's not going to get those pickoffs. Like he's going to pick off people who are low health. And if you have a bunch of people who are low health, Genji can definitely do some work because he just goes in, he gets the dash resets, but Doom can
And
just
without a
do that
brig with
work.
armor packs, I think you're going to see a little bit more of that, right? You have people who actually have low health and don't get a boost of that. But I think you can see some dive. I think you're gonna see some Rhine Diva with some Sombra,
I think you're
and
definitely gonna see Sombra.
I don't think you'll see as much of the double shield. I That's just wishful thinking, really, because I don't like it, but I think you'll see less of that, I hope.
Yeah. I think it what sucks is that the Asian teams play before the Western teams. So that shaped a lot of the meta this week was the weird
Not for the
stuff that
first
they were
day, though.
playing. Yeah, but I mean, it definitely shaped it later,
Yeah.
and I don't think it needed to.
No, I don't think so either, especially because it's not like they were going against those teams, right? So I feel like what you can't do in hero pools is completely change your strategy without having even discussed that, right? Like, I think you need to prepare a couple different strats. I don't think you need to go in all one trick in it, but I think you need to. not just say, "Hey, they played this. Let's see if we can do it too," every time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll just have to see. I wish we could tell you who's going to play with this hero pool, but if Dallas doesn't play, I'm rioting. I'm about to lose my freaking mind. I
I mean, to
really
be
am.
fair, Houston hasn't played in a while either.
I don't want to hear it. You've gotten plenty of chances to lose. You guys are what, 2-5 now?
Listen, but we ended on a really good note.
No, but what I'm saying is Dallas is 0-2. I've only got to see 2 games.
I
So I'm
know.
getting a
Listen,
little bit upset as a fan, and I understand. I
do you though?
understand.
It doesn't sound like
I
you do.
understand, but that doesn't stop me from being pissed. Like, that's what people don't get. Like, I can still be pissed and understand and forgive you for what's transpired, but I'm still pissed. You know,
It's
it's
out of their control.
I
You don't
know.
have
That
they have
doesn't
nothing for you to
change.
forgive.
I'm not pissed at them. I'm pissed.
Are you pissed at the coronavirus?
Yes, I'm
Is that
pissed.
where your anger is
Yes, I'm
lying
pissed.
there?
I'm pissed a
I don't think the
lot.
coronavirus is gonna apologize, so I'm
Yeah, well,
sorry.
the coronavirus isn't the reason that it's not happening.
Okay, let's not go there.
All right, well, guys, that is going to be the show for today, unless you have anything else you want to hit on, Mel.
Nope.
All right, well, we encourage you guys to follow us on Twitter. That's at Owl Recap. If you want to send us something a little bit longer, it's contact@owlrecap.com. We normally record on Twitch, normally Monday nights around 9 to 10 Eastern. It's twitch.tv/Al Recap. You can check us out on youtube.com/Al Recap. You, of course, can always, the majority of you guys listen to us on podcatchers. You can catch us on iTunes, on Spotify, on Stitcher, pretty much any place that you can get podcasts. We encourage reviews. Are we still dry on reviews? It's
I
been
didn't look.
months now. Okay, well, maybe there's one there, but if there's not, you could leave one and we can read it on the show. If you want to join our Discord community, we share with OmnicLab. That's discord.me/OmnicLab. And I think that's it. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. All right, guys. We will continue to struggle through this quarantine.
Bye.
Everybody stay safe.